want to thank the chair and ranking member for holding this hearing, and thank you, Director Chopra, for coming to discuss consumer protection efforts that your bureau has undertaken. I'm amazed every time that I'm reminded that it is your agency that is the only federal agency focused solely on protecting consumers from unfair or deceptive practices in our financial marketplaces, the only one in all of the federal government. The imbalance of information between sophisticated financial scammers and individual consumers have provided ample opportunity for predatory behavior in our financial sector. My constituents certainly remember the short time ago before we had CFPB, and they remember how financial institutions were able to saddle them with destructive and, in many cases, discriminatory loans that caused untold damage to them and to our economy. Under your leadership, I've been pleased to see that the CFPB is standing up for consumers, combating the negative effects of medical debt, breaking down barriers to credit, and holding the credit reporting companies accountable. I've also been interested in your actions to combat discrimination in entrepreneurial lending and to allow every American a fair shot at starting a small business. Here in America, in my opinion, especially in Nevada, the enterprising spirit of small business formation is alive and well. We've given the opportunity to succeed. Our constituents are industrious and hardworking with the determination necessary to create their own store or service. And yet, so many of my constituents, everyday Nevadans, who have the dream of being their own boss, have continued to be discriminated against simply because of the color of their skin or their gender. Owning their own business is a crucial way for individuals to build wealth, and thus a key part of the conversation on how to close the racial wealth gap. Unfortunately, for so many of our minority and women-owned entrepreneurs, discrimination in small business lending has cut that dream short. That is why in March, I applauded your finalized rule to increase transparency in small business lending as an effective way to promote both equity and economic development. Director, would you please be able to highlight the benefits for our nation's women-owned and minority-owned businesses now that this final rule is finalized? And additionally, as you look back over previously administered programs, such as the Paycheck Protection Program, would you consider the data collected under this rule helpful to ensure an equitable implementation of those programs in the future?
Well, just like homeownership, small business ownership has been such a vehicle for families and communities to build wealth. We do not want it distorted by discrimination or other bad practices, which we have seen in our country routinely for many years. I do think you raised the Paycheck Protection Program. So many businesses, minority and women-owned, were not able to access those critical funds, and the data will help programs to be designed better so that we can make sure these programs are working as they are intended.
Now, the CFPB also is tasked with enforcing financial protections such as provisions of the Military Lending Act, which provides indispensable protections for the thousands of active duty service members that live and serve within my district. Nevadans in uniform deserve to devote their entire energy to defending our country and should not have to worry that they are being taken advantage of by malicious actors. Whether it's preventing illegal high-interest loans, standing up to aggressive debt collectors, or ensuring adherence to legal protections, the CFPB is standing up for our service members when and where it counts. Within your report and in various blog posts, the CFPB mentions that service members are more likely to report certain types of consumer harm. Could you detail what those were likely to be and whether they file complaints on those matters, and how has the CFPB been able to take that up?
Credit reporting is very big. It is like the rest of the population, one of the top areas of concerns. And as I mentioned before, an inaccurate credit report or being hounded for debt that you don't actually owe for a service member or a military family is particularly pernicious. and we are doing what we can. We've brought multiple military lending act enforcement actions, and thank you.
Gentlemen's time's
Thank you,
expired.
Director.